The bold and dauntless red is feminine, yet daring and powerful. Hello sunshines, I hope you're all well. Today we're going to talk about the red lipstick. Red lipstick can suggest many things. I have been wearing red lipsticks for the past 12 years now. The first time I wore it was at a wedding in 2009 and in 2011 on my blogging days. I've tried all shades of red, all types of brands and all types of lipstick, but for the past 4 years I have been wearing the Dior 999. Supposedly the 999 works on all type of skin color. By wearing red lip, you're doing more than boosting your confidence. You're displaying a symbol of power that's embedded in the history of women's rights. This modern beauty staple has actually been around for 5,000 years. In early civilization, they crushed some unusual ingredients to create lipstick. Ancient Sumerian men and women were possibly the first to invent and wear lipstick. About 5,000 years ago, they crushed gemstones and used them to decorate their faces, mainly on the lips and around the eyes. Ancient Egyptians wore lipstick to show social status rather than gender. Yes, both men and women in ancient Egypt wore red lipstick as a symbol of power. Egyptians like Cleopatra crushed bugs such as carmine and ants to create a color of red on their lips. They also extracted the red dye from ochre, iodine and some bromine mannite, but these dye resulted in serious illnesses. Women in ancient Indus Valley civilization may have used rectangular pieces of ochre with beveled ends as lipstick. Women in the Minoan civilization colored their lips with bright red cosmetics. The Chinese made some of the first lipsticks that were made from beeswax over 1,000 years ago to protect the delicate skin of the lips. During the Tang dynasty, scented oils were added to the lipsticks. Red was the most dominant color. In Australia, Aboriginal girls would paint their mouths red with ochre for puberty rituals. Generally, red lipsticks had positive symbolism and the connotation of it was beauty. Red is the color of life, the natural flush of blood that makes someone look healthy and desirable. That connotation existed centuries ago, and it still does to this day in most parts of the world. However, that wasn't always the case in medieval Europe. Red lip paint in ancient Greece was initially restricted to prostitutes and concubines only, so men wouldn't confuse them with higher status women. Women possessed little power in ancient Greece and were also discouraged from wearing red lipstick in public, with the exception of prostitutes who actually possessed more legal power that afforded them the ability to flaunt scarlet lip paint. Although it was often made with ingredients such as red dye, sheep sweat, and crocodile excrement. It was actually a legal requirement for these prostitutes to wear red lipstick in public. Unfortunately, this also led to the first known law-related lipstick, which dictated that prostitutes could be punished for improperly posing as ladies if they appeared without their designated lip paint. So if you were a prostitute and you didn't wear your red lipstick in public, you could actually be punished for it. But wearing of red lipstick expanded to the upper class between 700 and 300 BCE. Greek women colored their lips with cosmetics made from dyes containing Tyrian purple, crushed mulberries, and the toxic pigment vermilion. Fast forward to a few hundred years and red lipstick still had a bad reputation in Europe. Red lips were often associated with morally dubious women, impolite, sexually immoral, even heretical. In the Dark Ages, red lips were seen as a sign of blending with the devil. The makeup was associated with this mysterious, frightening femininity. In England in particular, red lipstick wearer was seen as an incarnation of the devil. But in the 16th century, Britain's Queen Elizabeth I loved the color and red lipstick was popularized during her reign. She believed it had healing and protective properties, although now we know that wasn't the case because most of the lipsticks back in the days were created out of toxic ingredients. During the reign of Charles II in England and Louis XIV in France, lips were rouged heavily by both genders. Inspiration was taken from theatre actors and how much makeup the king liked to wear. Carmine and grease were used to color the lips of men and women alike. Even men sporting a mustache and a beard wore lipstick. In the Victorian era, makeup was associated with actresses, women of questionable morals, and prostitutes. Upper-class women wore hardly any makeup. Lipstick was largely prohibited in social circles, so women used it in secret or found other methods to create healthy, luscious lips. This was due to Queen Victoria deeming the color red to be impolite and discouraged women from wearing it in public. Around the same time in France, a full face of makeup, including lip rouge, was actually compulsory for women of good standing. All the ladies had snowy foreheads and bosoms, jet eyebrows, and scarlet lips. Commercial lipstick was first produced in Paris in the 1880s by those in the perfume industry. By the late 1890s, lipstick were being sold and advertised in Europe and the USA. They were sold in pots on paper sheets or in paper tubes. In fact, red lipstick became a feminist rebellion at the time. In the early 20th century, the suffragette movement reclaimed red lips in rebellion, wearing it on marches. Red lipstick was synonymous with power and strength, specifically during the suffragette movement. The movement, which campaigned for votes for middle-class, property-owning women and believed in peaceful protest, had quite the connection to beauty. As these women fought for their rights, red lipstick became a part of their uniform. The bold and dauntless red was feminine, yet daring and powerful. It became a symbolic of strength during a time when men were trying to strip that away from women. Were still are. In 1912, thousands of supporters of the suffrage movement marched past the New York salon of Elizabeth Arden. The cosmetics brand founder, who just opened her business 2 years earlier, was a supporter of women's rights, and she aligned herself with the cause by handing out tubes of bright red lipstick to the marching women. The red lipstick became a figurative form of protest in itself. There could not be more perfect symbol of suffragettes than red lipstick, because it's not just powerful, it's female, said Rachel Fedler, author of the book Red Lipstick, an ode to a beauty icon. Suffragettes were about female strength, not just strength. In order to gain more notoriety and attention to their cause, some ladies would wear lipstick to their public events. This was seen as the mark of the independent, emancipated woman, which at the time was considered to be quite scandalous. This subversive action would have brought censure from men and some women who regarded these women as morally lacking, said Gabrielle Hernandez, cosmetics historian and founder of Islamic Cosmetics. Their insinuation that red lipstick could also be viewed as scandalous is a projection that is still relevant today, especially for women of color, who were often left out during the suffragette movement. Fashion historian Shelby Ivy Christie reflects on her own relationship with red lipstick as a black woman, stating, "For me, red lipstick is about shifting the narrative around what red lipstick traditionally meant for black women. There's a long history of hypersexualization that is amplified by caricatures of black women with exaggerated red lips. There's also the history of minstrel shows with actors mocking black people by painting their skin black, with big red lips, to the caricatures of the mammy were often wearing red lipstick." Founder of Warmer Beauty Sharon Chatter agrees that the narrative for black women, as opposed to white women and red lipstick, is different. For white women, red lipstick is really a very bold statement, which is why it got classified under power, whereas for black women, it doesn't look that extreme because our skin is melanated. This perspective of race and red lipstick adds another layer to why the product was so connected to power during a period where black women were excluded. I feel like women of color and black women are somehow still excluded from feminism, despite the fact that there is intersectionality, but that's another story altogether. It even raises the question of if red lipstick would have the same symbolism during the suffragette movement if black women were more involved. However, today wearing the lip color exudes the same feeling for all women who wear it, despite the history. When it comes to Muslim societies, I couldn't really find historical attributes to red lipstick or cosmetics in general. There are certain scholars that say cosmetics is forbidden, but really that's their interpretation, and I'm not here to be discussing different types of interpretation. I just found the general rule to cosmetics, but not red lipstick in specific, in the past but also in the present. When it comes to Muslim societies, many agree that the use of cosmetics and ornaments were not forbidden, but they should not be worn when appearing in public to attract the attention of others, and with others we know they mean. Despite that there aren't any specification given to red lipstick or cosmetics, there is a color interpretation and color meaning and symbolism in Muslim societies. So let's go over them. Some verses in the Quran even mention by name the colors of red, yellow, green, black, white, and blue. Although the Arabic language during the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was already rich, only 6 colors were mentioned by name in the Quran. Red is mentioned in the Quran only once, in the description of the mountains as a part of the multicolored creation of God. But the Arabic language contains many terms to describe the various kinds and hues of red. In Islam, as many other cultures, red has ambivalent meanings. It is the color of ripe fruit and of love, both of which are positive, but at the same time it is the color of fire, which is both positive and negative,
because hellfire comes to mind when you think of fire,
and the color of war and blood. The duality of red blood as a symbol is even more complicated. It is the blood of the sacred sacrifice and the blood of those who were killed or murdered, in addition to menstrual blood, which is impure, and the blood of birth, which represents the beginning of life. Abu Lughod from 1988 adds that in modern nomadic societies, married women wore red woolen belts that represented fertility and motherhood. The gender differentiation of red and its hues is more complex, as only some hues of red were prohibited for men. We can learn from this tradition that some hues of red clothing were perceived as prestigious and luxurious, and hence were considered appropriate for Friday and the festivals as a symbolic outward display of these important ritual dates. Women are not mentioned in these discussions. Consequently, we can assume that they were permitted to wear red clothing in its various hues. From a more gendered perspective, the basic assumption is that unlike men, women cannot fulfill all religious demands as much as they were born imperfect. Then. The jurist solution was to lessen some of the prohibitions regarding the preferred and permitted colors and to allow women more freedom of choice regarding their colors of clothing. As I've mentioned before, these are findings regarding the color red and clothing within Muslim societies and Islamic interpretation. They don't necessarily talk about red lipstick. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the color red would also apply to red lipstick. And I am just taking a wild guess that the red lipstick would not necessarily have or have had a positive symbolism when it comes to Muslim societies. But in modern times, we can argue the enhancement of a woman's beauty does not take away her modesty. Moving on to Western history. During World War II, red lips had their bold second act of defiance. Adolf Hitler famously hated red lipstick, and in Allied countries, wearing it became a sign of patriotism and a statement against fascism. When taxes made lipstick excessively expensive in the UK, women stained their lips with beet juice instead. In 1941, and for the duration of the war, red lipstick became mandatory for women who joined the US Army. Beauty brands had capitalized on the wartime trend, with Elizabeth Arden releasing Victory Red and Helena Rubinstein introducing Regimental Red, among others. But it was Arden who the American government asked to create a regulation lip and nail color for serving women. Her Montezuma red matched and accentuated their uniform's red piping. Wearing red lipstick for a woman in that era was also linked to a sense of feminine self-esteem, particularly resilient and strong female self-esteem. After World War II, the number of eligible men dwindled and women were forced into the workforce. They made their own money and could afford the cosmetics. And notably, lipstick was one of the most inexpensive cosmetic items. So beyond expressing power through appearance, it was a symbol that women could afford to buy something to enhance their beauty with their own dollar. And we continue to see lip color on women who are in position of power. Post-war, red lipstick has found fame in Hollywood, establishing its status in early Hollywood as a symbol of glamour. Classic Hollywood actresses like Elizabeth Taylor, alongside Marilyn Monroe and Grace Kelly, added a layer of glamour to their confident look. In its many hues, this color on lips has been a mighty cultural weapon, charged with thousands of centuries of meaning. Red lipstick is truly a way to trace cultural history and societal zeitgeist. We continue to see the lip color on women who are in position of power. Two examples of women I can think of was the Iron Lady Margaret Thatcher, the first female prime minister in the UK, always sported a red lip. The US Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name, whose signature look includes the red lipstick. Today, red lips still pack a punch. In a viral image from 2015, a Macedonian woman kissed an officer's riot shield during an anti-government protest, leaving a red kiss mark in a moving moment of rebellion. In 2018, in Nicaragua, women and men wore red lipstick and uploaded photos of themselves to social media to show their support for the release of anti-government protesters. They were reacting to activist Marlene Chow, who defied her interrogators by applying red lipstick. In December 2019, nearly 10,000 women in Chile took to the streets wearing black blindfolds and red lipstick to denounce sexual violence in the country. We can clearly see that red lipstick still upholds an important symbolism and historical significance in today's societies. Going back to red lipstick and modesty, I know in certain conservative societies and communities, red lipstick still upholds a negative connotation, and it's not a color that's encouraged for women to wear unless they want to cause controversy, of course. Reading the article of Shirley Donaldson, who was working with Muslim teenagers in Atlanta, Georgia in 2014, she recalls that as they got ready to make their way into the prayer hall at the mosque, one of the girls pulled out a tube of bright red lipstick. As she quickly smeared it on her lips, one of the other girls said shyly, "Your mother is going to be furious." The girl with the lipstick turned to her friend, smiled deviously and said, "I know, but she can't say anything to me during prayer." For them, wearing red lipstick during Friday prayer was their way to show their mothers that they could make decisions that their mothers could do little about in public arena of their mosque. From my personal experiences, I have mixed reaction regarding the red lipstick depending on the environment I am in. Personally, I love the red lipstick and I consider it part of my signature look. I know not everyone has the confidence or the courage to wear red lipstick, not necessarily with the historical or symbolic attachment to the red lipstick, but because they may think it doesn't suit them or it's not just a color they favor. So that's perfectly fine, you know, it's not for everyone. But by wearing a red lip, some women are doing more than boosting their confidence. They are displaying a symbol of power that's embedded in the history of women's rights. I hope you liked this video as much as I researched about this video. If you'd like to share your personal experiences with the red lipstick, please leave a comment below. If you liked the video, please share, like, and subscribe. This is it for today, and I will see you next Friday. Red lip. God, this